Meeting minutes from April 5th, 2024. I need a motion to approve those minutes. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabner, seconded by Councillor Chairman, that the minutes of the regular meetings council held April 15, 2024 be approved as printed and circulated. Any questions, concerns, or comments on the minutes? Then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, next we have a public meeting. The public meeting is concerning a zoning bylaw amendment application submitted by JP2G Consultants Incorporated on behalf of Dr. Michelle Scantlin for the establishment of a veterinary hospital within the town of Petawawa Industrial Park. Do you want me to read the zoning bylaw amendment title as well? I will. Zoning bylaw amendment from general industrial exception 5, so GM-E5 to general industrial exception 8, GM-E8, part of lot 22, concession 5, Water Tower Road. So I'd ask our planner, Karen Cronier, to confirm the notice of the public meeting.
Notice was provided as required under the Planning Act.
Thank you, Karen. Have there been any written comments submitted on this application?
We did receive comments back from Enbridge Gas, and they had no objection to the application.
Thank you. And now if you could briefly explain the purpose of the amendment.
Yes, the purpose of the amendment is to rezone the subject lands to permit a veterinary hospital and to permit a reduction in the frontage from 30 meters to 24.9 meters. Veterinary hospital is defined as a building or structure where domestic animals, birds, or other livestock are treated and where domestic animals or birds are kept for treatment only and shall include the clinic of a registered veterinarian. The effect of the amendment is to rezone from a GME5 to GME8. And the open space area is not affected under the zoning amendment.
Thank you, Karen. Is the applicant present, and do they wish to make any opening comments to explain or support the applicant? So we have Anthony Hammond from JP2G and Michelle Scantlin. Go ahead.
Thank you for your attention this evening. My name is Dr. Michelle Scantlin. The purpose of building a new veterinary hospital is primarily the space that we are currently in is too small to service the number of clients that we have. I have no room in my existing building to add a third veterinarian. We only have 2 exam rooms. And so when it came, this has been on my wish list for at least 5 years, looking for lots, looking for land, looking for opportunities to expand and build. The current location for expansion doesn't work because the other problem with the building we're in is it's not accessible. So it's built elevated. So there are stairs as well as a disabled ramp. And that's very difficult for clients, families with children in strollers, and elderly or incapacitated patients to get in the building. So when I looked at the pros and cons, it became apparent that it would be better suited to start fresh with a new building. It's tough. Commercial buildings in Petawawa are difficult. And so the industrial land is a place where we have the space. It provides an area off the main boulevard so that when clients are getting in and out of their vehicles, there's no risk of them running into the boulevard if they get loose. We're a destination, we don't need marketing and we don't need to be on the main boulevard. People will find us where we'll go. And the other reason for building in that lot is quality of life for the staff, which are very difficult to keep. We have high burnout rates. Veterinary profession is number 1 on the suicide rates these days. And so that lot affords us the opportunity to build a building where we're not working in an enclosed fluorescent light room with no daylight for 10 to 12 hours a day. And the design would take into consideration and maintain the nature around the building so that the people in the building can have a little bit of daylight and nature in their life, improve the quality of life of the workers, provide more services, more veterinarians, more appointments to the town of Petawawa. And overall, I think it's a win-win for everybody. The plan is designed to have minimum impact on the residentials around. the residential areas around, because the whole point of going there is to maintain the nature around the building and the way the building is being placed. It's being placed at the front corner to the majority of the building and parking spaces will be along Water Tower Road, and then the easement going through between the subdivision. So there should be very little impact on the residential areas surrounding it. Thank you.
And just to add a couple of words from a planning perspective, to touch on and add to what Michelle has said here, as Michelle mentioned, the purpose or what we've done in the design of the site is to keep the building as close as possible to Water Tower Road. The zoning requires a 22-meter setback in the industrial park from the neighboring residential dwellings. And we've actually gone so far with the site layout to ensure that the closest that the new building is going to be to the west property line is 84 meters and 88 meters from the north property line. So, and as Michelle mentioned, the vast majority of the existing vegetation on the property is going to be retained. So there's a significant amount of buffering from the existing residences around the property. And I think it's a great location for it. So I'm here to answer any questions that any of you might have. Thank you.
Should we entertain questions now or go to the audience first? Since we have Michelle and Anthony here. Or should I follow the protocol here? And we'll just bring them back if we need it. Questions? Okay. Thank you, Anthony and Michelle. So at this point, I'd like to ask if there's anybody in the audience that has any questions or would like to make any comments.
Would you like me to go here or stay here?
Yes, please. Yeah. Come up to the microphone, press the gray button so the light lights up, and just introduce yourself before
Hello.
you make comments.
My name's Alexandra Riopel. I'm a resident who lives on Zachary Street, so I would be right where this forest is that they're mentioning doing that. So there's quite a few of us here from that neighborhood who have shown up tonight because we are curious and we want to understand exactly what the plans are. So I think our main concern is just understanding how much of the forest is being planned on being taken away. So by the sounds of it, not a lot, but we obviously have concerns just about the quality of our neighborhood for our children, for our future, and what our land is going to look like there. So if you're willing to share that map that you have with you, I would love to see that because we haven't had a chance to see that. The map that was kind of given to us on this notice in the mail wasn't really substantial, doesn't really give a good scale. So I think I just probably speak on behalf of quite a few of us in the neighborhood, just with our concerns of what will happen there. We paid a premium for those lots, being told that it would only be forest forever. So we're a little bit deceived. So we just kind of want to understand a little bit further what's happening there. Thank you.
Thank you. Are we able to
I don't have it.
call that plan up on the screen?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, come forward. Just make sure you introduce yourself. Press the gray button so the red light goes on there. You can kind of shove that other chair away there. Oh, there you go.
My name's Terry Weinert. I'm also on Zachary Street, and I don't think we've met our neighbors, even though we're only 3 doors down. So similar concerns. I guess one of the things that we'd also like to know is just what the plan is for lighting. Obviously, right now, there's really no light pollution in our backyards, which is fabulous. So just wondering if there's going to be security lighting, if it's going to face towards the road as opposed towards the forest. And like was mentioned, there was really no details in the information that we received in terms of what the open space dimensions are, and then what the setback is from that line to where the parking lot or the building would be. So I think maybe we'll see that tonight. Yeah. I think that was very, very similar concerns, but the thing I thought I would add is just kind of what the lighting plan is as well.
Okay, thank you for your comments and questions. Anthony, do you want to? Sure. We'll get that question answered and then we'll take further comments.
Just keep shoving chairs out of the way. To answer those couple of questions there, just to reiterate, there's almost like 88 meters and 84 meters setback. to the north and to the west respectively. That's almost 300 feet. Most of that is to remain undisturbed vegetation. So most of that forest is going to stay. With respect to lighting, the only intended lighting are what we would call wall packs that are going to shine into the parking lot on the south side of the building and the east side of the building that's kind of contained within the industrial park.
Thank you, Anthony.
I think I found.
Karen, did you want to? I guess we'll take a few more comments. Or do you want to go now, Karen? Okay. Were there some additional comments from members? Just introduce yourself, please, and
Hi, everyone, I'm Jordan Kath Nelson. I'm also a resident Zachary Street, and I echo what Alex has said and my other neighbor too. But just to add to that, I'm curious about, from a city planning perspective, what this means also for the future of Water Tower Road. And I know we're talking about one space right now, but how does that look into the future? And also can't help but think about, also from a city planning perspective, is the maybe what has been explored to have this veterinary hospital or other businesses that we're considering maybe out there in the future in within the town, like on the boulevard. Seems like a great opportunity to me to maybe rebuild or revitalize some of the not so great looking lots and frontage we have right now on the boulevard. So thank you.
okay, thank you. Do you want to deal with a couple? No, go ahead. If you'd like to answer a few of those concerns.
Sorry, with respect to the fact, of course, the lands are within the industrial park. And it is there for council to sell to individuals and residents who want to purchase the land for employment purposes. The development requires that there be a 50-meter buffer maintained along the rear of the property, so all of that vegetation has to stay. That is part of the development agreement as well, and certainly Dr. Scantlin is aware of that. So there is basically the site plan that's been approved by council. We have any other questions in that regard? Sure, okay.
Me again, Alex Riebel. For the buffer, the 50-meter buffer that you speak of, is that from the back of the residential properties? Where would that start?
Yes, so it is from, in fact, no, the buffer hasn't been shown. Oh,
Buffer's here. I was talking to 22.
this 22, yeah.
Spoke there, but the 50-meter vegetative buffer is right here. And Dr. Scanlon only intends to clear this amount of land for this current forest. So Water Tower Road's here, entrance to the site is here. So from the back of the building to the north, as I mentioned, is 88 meters, which is far in excess of the 50 that's required. And same over here, 50 is here. And as I mentioned, we're 84 meters to the side of it. As the rest of that's all going to remain.
And then I will just note as well, under the subdivision agreement for your neighborhood, there is a minimum setback requirement in the rear yards of 10 meters. So we did take that into consideration as well.
And pardon my ignorance, but where exactly is Zachary Street? Like that off the map at the moment?
Up in the top, up in the top.
Yeah, it will be right on the top. So 10 meters in is where you would find housing. And then Zachary, yes.
Saki lot, it's right here under the word residential.
Okay. Hey.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think there was one additional comment or question.
Read that.
Brent Pemberton, I'm a resident on Bedard Boulevard. My concern, first I'll say I'm in support, not against by any means, but did have a concern that currently there's already a lot of fast through traffic going between Duran and Petawawa Boulevard, whether it's going to or from Tim Hortons or wherever. And this and other opportunities for development in the future will likely only increase the through traffic. So I'd ask that council consider a speed study or something like that, signage, that sort of thing, going forward if this proceeds. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen, do you want to answer anything about that concern?
No, I suppose if the neighborhood is looking for a reduction in speed, there would be a process involved in that. Submission of a letter to council, and then I would assume our public works department would be taking a look at that.
Okay. Just for your information, Brent, we have the town of Petawawa does own a couple of, we call them black cat speed monitors. I'm not sure how much I should say because they're secret. We don't want you to know when they're out there. And most people don't see them when we put them up on various streets. And they would go up for a short period, a week or 2 weeks. And then we would get the speed data from those black cat monitors. They don't take video, but they do take all of the speed statistics. And then we would turn that over to the OPP if we have concerns about certain streets that have been monitored. And then we would ask them for further enforcement on those areas. So if you would like a speed monitor put on your street, you just have to make a request to council and say, we have concerns on Bedard or Zachary. And then our public works department will, or is it the police services board that does that?
Request
You do it?
Yeah.
Okay, our clerk does it. And they would ensure that all of the streets that have concerns would get a turn with the black cat monitor. And then you would have the data and know. Okay? And just some of the other comments. This is our industrial zone, and the town of Petawawa doesn't have much industrial land left. Just what's left in there. And there are some additional lots further away from Zachary. But right now we can't develop them because we don't have a road in there. But that's one of our future plans and that road would be more towards the airport. Because we are limited in the industrial land that we have left. And I appreciate your comments about, there are some empty lots, but unfortunately we don't own those. Those are privately owned lots on the boulevard and in other commercial areas in our town. And would it be nice if they were all developed? Sure it would, but we can't make people do something. So for now, Michelle looked around town and this was a good option for her and a great place for her to put her veterinary office. And as you've seen from the drawings, there is quite a substantial buffer there in terms of the trees and the treed area. And she's chosen to develop her veterinary office closer to Industrial Road. We do have a shortage of veterinarians in this entire region. I know a lot of people that have to drive to Ottawa to take their pets to get serviced. So if we can add an additional vet here in the town of Petawawa, I think that's good for everybody. It saves a lot of driving. And if you consider this, it is an industrial zone, and a veterinarian office would be the least intrusive, I would think, of any type of industrial type of industry, I would say. Okay, are there any further questions or comments from members of the public? All right. So I'll open up to members of council now, if they have any questions or concerns. Okay. Karen, could you please explain the appeal process?
Yes, there is a 20-day appeal period on this application. Anyone wishing to speak to the application should do so prior to the passing of the zoning bylaw. Or provide those written comments, again, prior to council making a decision. If they do not provide verbal or written comments, they may lose the right to appeal any decision that council makes on the application.
Okay, thank you. So I'll declare the public meeting closed. So I'll give everyone that is, thank you for coming tonight. It's important that you come to council meetings. Should you have concerns, it's important that we hear your concerns, hear your voices. It helps us make decisions. If there are concerns in the public, we are here to listen to what you have to say. So thank you very much for coming. You are most welcome to stay. We have an action-packed agenda here. You are most welcome to stay for the rest of it. But if you'd like to get up and leave now, that's okay. But please stay if you'd like.
Would it be okay to put that image back on the TV quickly?
Do you want a maybe on file?
Oh, perfect. Just let's take a picture. Yeah.
Want it?
Thank you for having us.
Good night.
Here. Hey,
Yeah. Okay. Next, we'll go to bylaws. Bylaw 1653/24, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 456/07 of the corporation of the town of Petawawa as amended, and this is regarding the public meeting we just had in terms of the amendment to change it from general industrial exception 5 to general industrial exception 8 to allow for a veterinary office to be built. So I need a motion for first and second reading. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that bylaw 1653/24, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 456/07 of the corporation of the town of Petawawa, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1653/24, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 456/07 of the Corporation of the Town of Petawawa as amended. This constitutes first and second reading of bylaw 1653/24.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1653/24. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, that bylaw 1653/24 be read a third and final time and passed. Are there any questions, comments on the bylaw? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1653/24, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 456/07 of the Corporation of the Town of Petawawa as amended. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1653/24, the 6th day of May 2024.
Next, we have bylaw 1654/24, being a bylaw to provide that section 50 bracket 5 of the Planning Act not apply to block 5 registered plan 49M-118. I need a motion for first and second reading of this bylaw. Moved by Councillor Coutu. Seconded by Councillor Carmody. That bylaw 1654/24, being a bylaw to provide that section 50 bracket 5 of the Planning Act not apply to block 5 registered plan 49M-118 be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1654/24, being a bylaw to provide that section 50, subsection 5 of the Planning Act not apply to block 5, registered plan 49M-118. This constitutes first and second reading of bylaw 1654/24.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1654/24. Moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Councillor Driscoll, that bylaw 1654/24 be read a third and final time and passed. Are there any questions or concerns with the bylaw? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1654/24, being a bylaw to provide that section 50, subsection 5 of the Planning Act not apply to block 5, registered plan 49M-118. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1654/24, the 6th day of May 2024.
Next, we have some minutes for the council and committee meeting of April 22nd, 2024. I need a motion to approve those minutes. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Roots, that the minutes of the council and committee meeting held on April 22nd, 2024 be accepted by council and that resolutions from that committee become resolutions of council. Any questions, comments, concerns about the minutes? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have minutes of the Petawawa Police Services Board meeting of February 21st, 2024. I need a motion to accept the minutes. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sabrin and Councillor Carmody.
Thank you, Mayor Service. So these are the minutes from our last Police Services Board meeting as a actual Police Services Board prior to the implementation of the new Community Policing Act. So Not a whole lot to point out. You'll see under 9C, Petawawa Showcase participation. So we did have a booth in the showcase as we have in past years. And it was, we found the show to be very well attended with a lot of questions from the public about the police services board. But be happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Any questions on the minutes of the meeting? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Oh, did I read the whole motion already? No, didn't think I did. So it was moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Councillor Roots, that the minutes of the Petawawa Police Services Board meeting held on February 21st, 2024 be adopted as information. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Now it's carried. Next, we have Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee meeting minutes from March 3rd, 2024 and March 27th, 2024. I need a motion to accept the minutes. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that the minutes of the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee meetings held on March 13th, 2024 and March 27th, 2024 be adopted as information. Councillor Coutu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just highlight a few things from these two sets of meetings. We had two meetings in March because of that end of February snowstorm. Seems like distant memory now on a hot day like today. I'll let to say at the committee, we've adopted, as council has, reading calls to action along with our land acknowledgement. So that was something I was happy to bring to the committee. I'll highlight as well for council that we're moving ahead on a really great project to host 2 Legacy of Hope exhibits at the Garrison Museum for the whole month of August. So it's going to be a great opportunity to really bring some knowledge to Petawawa, and I will be coming around to council to get maybe some comments from them for our contribution to that exhibit, having sort of the town of Petawawa's commitment to reconciliation and action on consultation represented for everyone to see. So I'll be following up with you on that. Further, we've now launched actually our logo contest. So if you know any artists who are interested in EDI themes, they're welcome to submit their own entry, and there's a $250 prize. And finally, Pride 2024 will be happening June 14th at the Kin Hut again. So we'll be hosting face painters, balloon artists, a DJ, community craft. We'll have refreshments, and this year we'll have even more involvement from our business community. So that's going to be a really great event that we're planning. And if there are any questions on items on the agenda, I'm happy to entertain them. Thank you.
Any questions on the 2 meeting minutes? Okay, looking forward to seeing the displays at the museum. And as you said, they're temporary displays, correct? Okay. All right, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have Petawawa Public Library Board meeting, March 25th, 2024. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that the minutes of the Petawawa Public Library Board meeting held on March 25th, 2024 be adopted as information. Councillor Carmody?
Thank you, Mayor Service. So you'll see in these minutes that under old business, we received we have implemented a new person counter. So $971 for the actual hardware and the software. And it's one of those deals where they almost give you the hardware for free, and then you're hooked into a yearly contract for the software updates and that sort of thing. But, it's money we would have spent anyway. So, and it's just getting a little tighter with the times, with the newest stuff. And it'll give us more accurate counts of of the comings and goings of the library. And we had some general discussion about policy updates, and you'll also notice that we did lose our bookkeeper of a number of years, and so we have our CEO was instructed to obtain a new bookkeeper, and we have a new one in the works. I'd be happy to entertain any questions that anybody may have.
Questions on the library board minutes? Be interesting to see the new statistics in terms of counts and how being more accurate might, I'm assuming, would elevate the number of people we have coming to Colbert. That's good to see. If there are no questions, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have staff reports. First up, we have PL-16-2024, Declaration of Surplus Lands, Upper Ottawa Valley Veterinary Professional Corporation, part of Lot 22, Concession 5, being Part 1 on 49R-20323, Water Tower Road, Town of Petawawa. It's all coming together tonight, isn't it? Okay, Karen.
Yes, recommendation. The part of lot 22, concession 5, with an area of 1.346 hectares and described as part 1 on plan 49R-20323, be declared surplus to be sold to the Upper Ottawa Valley Veterinary Professional Corporation, Dr. Michelle Scantlin, at a price of $33,260. This is based on $10,000 per acre. Financial implication, the costs associated with the purchase and development of the property are those of the purchaser. The proposal, Town of Petawawa has received the offer for 1.346 hectares of land. The survey plan was provided to council. The town has advertised the intent to declare the said land as surplus as required under bylaw 238/03. Being a bylaw to establish procedures for the sale of real property owned by the town of Petawawa. And the clerk has not received any comments in regard to this declaration. I will note that a conveyance bylaw will come before council along with the said development agreement for the parcel expected on May 21st. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Are there any questions from members of council? Then I need a motion. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that part of lot 22, concession 5, with an area of 1.346 hectares, which is 3.326 acres, and described as part 1 on plan 49R-20323, be declared surplus to be sold to the Upper Ottawa Valley Veterinary Professional Corporation, Dr. Michelle Scantlin, at a price of $33,260. Which is $10,000 per acre. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, next we have PL-17-2024, Declaration of Surplus Lands. 1000355-221 Ontario Incorporated, part of Lot 22, Concession 5, being Part 1 on 49R-20051 Water Tower Road, Town of Petawawa. Karen, an overview.
Yes, recommendation that part of lot 22, concession 5, with an area of 1.493 hectares and described as part of lot 22, concession 5, being part 1 on reference plan 49R-20051, be declared surplus to be sold to 1000355-221 Ontario Inc., Williamsons, at a price of $36,890. Financial implication, the costs again associated with the purchase and the development of the property are those of the purchasers. Proposal, the town of Petawawa did receive the request to purchase these lands as noted in previous planning reports. The town has advertised the intent to declare said lands as surplus as required by bylaw 238/03, establishing the procedure for the sale of real property owned by the town. And the clerk has not received any comments regarding the declaration to date. And again, a conveyance bylaw will come before council along with the development agreement on May 21st.
Thanks, Karen. Any questions from members of council? I think this is a good news story because it will provide a location for a business in town that has received a few complaints from neighbors about there being a commercial industrial operation near residential zone. So it's great to see this moving forward and getting it to where it needs to be in our industrial park. Okay, so I need a motion if everybody's comfortable. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that part of lot 22, concession 5, with an area of 1.493 hectares which is 3.689 acres, and described as part of Lot 22, Concession 5, being Part 1 on Registered Reference Plan 49R-20051, be declared surplus, to be sold to 1000355-221 Ontario Incorporated, which is William Sons, at a price of $36,890, which is $10,000 per acre. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Thanks, Karen. Okay, next we have report PW-13-2024, proposed pedestrian crossover at the intersection of Murphy Road and Roy Street. Chris,
All right.
you're looking sharp tonight.
Oh, thanks. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Evening, members of council. All right, we'll start with a little bit of background. Nothing too earth-shattering here, hopefully. So, as part of the reconstruction of Murphy Road, a new pedestrian crossover, which is PXO Level 2, Type B, in accordance with Ontario Traffic Manual Book 15, will be installed at the intersection of Murphy Road and Roy Street. This pedestrian crossover has been included in the plans for the reconstruction of Murphy Road, which is a 50-50 cost-sharing project between the town of Petawawa and the county of Renfrew. Although the county was involved in the development of reconstruction plans and has agreed to the reconstruction, which includes the pedestrian crossover, the county still requires a resolution from the town of Petawawa as a formality to comply with the County of Renfrew Operations Policy PW14. Under discussion, since Murphy Road belongs to the County of Renfrew's road network, council will need to seek permission from County Council to have the PXO installed. This request shall be approved by the appropriate committee of County Council and authorized by the passing of a bylaw by County Council. The county requires a resolution from the requesting lower tier council. The resolution will also need to state the town Petawawa shall be responsible for all costs associated with the initial installation of the pedestrian crossing, including signage and pavement markings associated with the crossing, as well as the replacement down the road, if required, of the pedestrian crossing. Financial implication, the initial cost to install the new pedestrian crossover at the intersection of Murphy and Roy is estimated at $42,600 and has been included in the 2024 Public Works budget as part of the reconstruction for Murphy Road. This project is currently out to tender and closes on May 14th, 2024. And the other financial implication is that the town of Petawawa completes annual pavement marking refresh at the crossing, and that's taken care of as part of our annual line painting tender. And as your attachments, there's the recommendation letter from JP2G, as well as the county PW14 policy for crossings of county roads. Happy to take any questions.
Questions from members of council? Councillor Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Chris. Thank you, Chris, for the information. I reviewed the requirements for the level 2 type B and how they affect accessibility. The only thing I could not find in there was an audible indicator that the flashing lights had started. Would you know if that's part of that standard?
My understanding is that an audible system is not part of that. When the button is pressed, the LED flashers would go on. But it's something I can certainly look into and see if it's an option.
Thank you. I'd really appreciate that.
Deputy Mayor Sadler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to Chris. To just follow up on what Karen was saying, I think it's really important for people who've got visual impairments that the auditory be something that is provided. And I didn't do my homework as Karen did, but I just, to you, Chris, will there be something like pavement differentiation as people are walking up to that to sort of delineate that there is in fact a crosswalk coming up? Is that part of the standard? And if not, would you be able to look into that as well, please?
I can look into it, yes. And my understanding is it's not part of the standard. So it would be shark teeth. There'd be a crossing ahead sign. And then there'd be another sign that says no passing here to the crossing. There'd be shark teeth, which is informing drivers of where they should stop when they're approaching the crossing. And then there'd be large white blocks at the actual crossing for the people to walk across on. But I can look into those other ideas. Yeah.
Follow up?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would appreciate that because that's all of those other indicators are presuming that people have got a good degree of vision capacity. And I think that we need to also recognize that there are residents in our community that may not have that. So those kind of differentiations are really important. So thank you, Chris, for looking into that.
Thank you. And maybe just for clarification, I think you were asking about something on the sidewalk for pedestrians to indicate like some kind of bump or so not so much on the road itself, Chris, but is there something on the sidewalk to indicate to visually impaired persons that they were approaching? They were stepping on something to tell them this is coming up.
There would be, there's a technical tactile, I think it's called a Twizzy, in short. It's like a tactile, I can't remember the name for it, but it would be so that when a visually impaired or challenged individual would feel the tactile surface and they know that they're approaching a crossing point. Twizzies.
Learned a new term today. Twizzy. I thought that was a kind of licorice. Was that a Twizzler?
A Twizzler, yeah.
Are there any other things for Chris on the pedestrian crossover? No, I think this is a good news story. It fits in nicely with our urbanization of Murphy Road. And as we know, it's a very well-used street by pedestrians, especially a lot of young kids who are walking to school. So it's great that we're providing them with a safe way to get across because there's a large number of them that do have to cross Murphy to get to Herman Street and other destinations. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I should just add that our initial design had the pedestrian crossover on the east side of the intersection of Roy and Murphy. We did have a meeting 2 weeks ago with JP2G and the county just to go over the design one last time. And we touched base with the Transportation Consortium because there is a bus stop at that intersection. So we are looking at taking the pedestrian crossing from the east side and bringing it to the west side of the intersection. There's actually a turning lane at that side, and that's where the bus does stop to pick up the children. So I think we're looking at just moving the PXO over to the other side of the intersection, which will be safer for the bus to stop and safer for the children to access the school bus at the PXO crossing.
Okay, thanks for that. Any other questions on this report? Okay, and if everybody's comfortable, then I need a motion. Moved by Councillor Driscoll, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sabourin. Get ready, this is a long one. The Council of the Corporation of the Town of Petawawa requests permission from the County of Renfrew to install a new pedestrian crossover PXO Level 2 Type B in accordance with Ontario Traffic Manual Book 15 at the intersection of Murphy Road, County Road 37, and Roy Street, and that Council of the Corporation of the Town of Petawawa shall be responsible for all costs associated with the initial installation of the pedestrian crossing, including signage and pavement markings associated with the crossing, as well as the replacement of the pedestrian crossing, and that the County of Renfrew shall be responsible for the costs associated with the annual operation and maintenance of the pedestrian crossing and signage, with the Town of Petawawa being responsible for the annual pavement markings associated with the crossing. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have report PW-14-2024, proposed amendments to off-road vehicle bylaw 1597/23. Chris.
Thank you, Mayor Service. Okay, a bit of background on this report. At the April 22nd, 2024 Council and Committee meeting, The following motion was recommended to council. The council approves off-road vehicle access to all 5 proposed designated ORV routes on municipal roads without sidewalks or curbing, and that an amendment to the off-road vehicle bylaw 1597-23 be brought forward for formal adoption at a future meeting of council. Under discussion, following direction from council and committee meetings, staff submitted correspondence to the County of Renfrew requesting the following. The town of Petawawa is requesting permission from the County of Renfrew to allow off-road vehicle access to cross Petawawa Boulevard and Dorn Road at the following designated intersections, and they're listed for you. There are 5 crossing points. And permission is also requested to allow ORV access on the following portions of county roads, and they are listed there in the report. The County Operations Committee doesn't meet until May 14th, 2024, and the next County Council meeting is scheduled for May 29th, 2024. The earliest that an amended bylaw could be brought forward before Petawawa Town Council would be on June 3rd, 2024. So that's why there was an opportunity here to move the process ahead by bringing this report to you tonight. The proposed amendments to bylaw 1597-23 are listed in the report. And staff's included a new Appendix C, Algonquin Trail off-road vehicle access route, and corresponding maps are under construction at this point. Once the maps are completed, council will be provided with copies prior to the adoption of the bylaw amendment. And the financial implication simply going to be more signs and speed tabs. There are some opportunities where we can repurpose some of the existing signs that we purchased last in 2023 for ORV Phase 1, but there will be some additional signage required, and that can be taken care of through our O&M budgets. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions on the report? Councillor Coutu.
Just a comment. I'm really glad to see the identification of those routes. I had noted in a previous report to council, our partners at OPP identified that without those designated ORV routes, they could not enforce that provision that you only use the route to access the trail. So that is a great addition. Thank you very much.
Further questions on the report? Oh, go ahead, Chris.
I forgot the recommendation. The council approves the draft bylaw to amend bylaw 1597-23. I'll do it short that time.
Thanks for throwing that in there. I have a quick question for you, and it concerns our Black Cat speed monitors. So if we were to put one on one of these streets that now is allowing access by ATVs, ORVs, does it make a distinction between a vehicle and an ATV when it's collecting speed statistics, or does it just show up on the stats as another vehicle and we don't know what it was?
That's correct. It would show up as another vehicle. The only I would say the only item that would tip us off to an ORV would be the speed. So if you're seeing 20 km/h or under speeds consistently, I think you would be able to say that, okay, you could tie those speeds to off-road vehicles.
But they are large enough to be picked up by the Black Cat.
Yes.
Councillor Coutu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just before we vote, I wanted to ask for a recorded vote again tonight. I maintain my concerns about the liability issues.
Okay, thank you. We have a couple more questions. Deputy Mayor Sacker.
Just an observation. I like that we've made the distinction that the roads are only to be used to access the trail, because I think there was some concern about the driving up and down roads, that kind of thing. It's literally to go from your home to the trail and from the trail to your home. So I thank you for that.
Other questions, comments, concerns? Okay, so if you're comfortable with that, I need a motion. Moved by Councillor Driscoll, seconded by Councillor Roots. The council approves the draft bylaw to amend bylaw 1597/23, being a bylaw to regulate and govern the operation of all-terrain, multi-purpose, and recreational off-road vehicles, ORVs, on highways under the jurisdiction of the corporation of the town of Petawawa as presented, and that a bylaw be brought forward to a future meeting of council, subject to the county of Renfrew adopting a corresponding bylaw to officially adopt the amendments to bylaw 1597/23. And before I call for the vote, we're going to do a recorded vote, so I'll turn it over to Clerk Colin Howard.
Thank you, Mayor Service. So I'll start the same as I did the other night with the recorded board. I'll just go this way here. So Councillor Coutu, I may have your vote for or against.
Against.
Councillor Carmody. For. Deputy Mayor Sabrin.
For.
Mayor Service.
For.
Councillor Roots. For. Councillor Donovan.
For.
And Councillor Briscoe.
For.
Thank you. Carried 6-1. Mayor Service.
Thank you, Colin. Just to kind of wrap things up here and to, I guess, ease some concerns that some of the residents have had. As everything we do here in council, there are people for and people against, and we have heard some concerns from some of our residents about ORVs. And just to let everybody know, it is a trial. So we're passing this, and we're going to give this a shot, as it were, and then we'll reevaluate after a year and see how things have gone. But I'm hoping for the best, and that everybody obeys all the rules and regulations that are in place. And I think it's a good thing to allow our residents access from their homes to our trails. And I just hope that everybody treats it with the respect it deserves. Okay. Thank you very much, Chris.
Welcome.
Next, we have our CAO, Scott Randolph, with a strategic plan quarterly report. Let's see how we've been doing.
Yes, thank you, Worship and Council. Just bear with me a second while I adjust the settings here. There we go. So that way everyone can see, and actually throw this up on the monitor so the people in the room can see as well. Okay. Anyways, so yes, thank you. As you know, back in early November 2023, you approved a new strategic plan for the community for 2024 through to 2026. That plan contained 4 pillars that we operate under: infrastructure, capacity building and modernization, community wellness and connectedness, and of course, housing diversity. So I'm going to take you through the work plan and where we are with each of the items so far. You've heard some of these already being presented to you as we move forward on items. So, okay, is it going to work for me? Okay, there we go. So we're going to start off with infrastructure. And of course, you have the master servicing plan was the big one. This is where we are with it so far. The complete inventory of assets was expected to be produced by April 2024. The responsibility, of course, on all of this is Public Works. So far, it's been ongoing, and again, it's a mixture of Public Works, Ontario Clean Water Agency, and JP2G. JP2G has been retained to complete this work due to their extensive knowledge of town systems and completion of previous 10-year plan, which was 2013 to 2023. Also, through this new 10-year master service plan, we'll have an updated record of drawings, a record drawings database, inventory, and updated GIS inventories. So basically geolocating everything, all of our infrastructure within the town, assuming the town will assume the management of that data. Subsequent plans should be tendered and awarded 1 year prior to the current plan's completion. Going forward. The new plan was started after budget deliberations for the approved amount of 137,000, or a little over 137,000. We're aiming for this summer for the completion of work. So which is really good news. And that'll coincide with the 5-year financial planning cycle that we're going to enter into in the fall. So it'll be nice to get that done out of the way. Also help us with our asset management planning, which we also, as you know, we're on a deadline to complete for the province, but it's also for us, as we've discussed many times in the past, about planning financially in the future and the infrastructure needs that we have. And just in regards to source funding and implement, the last quarter of 2024, we're expecting to work on that and gain in conjunction with budget going forward, or the financial planning process. Also under infrastructure, as you're already aware, and this was presented to you at the last committee meeting, Public Works facility expansion. We finalized the design and costing. We also brought this to the 2024 budget discussion, and it was included in the budget for the expansion. It went out for tender on April 23rd, and we'll be closing on May the 14th. It'll be closing soon, and then we'll hopefully be awarding on May the 14th. In fact, if Chris can remind me, I think we've got tender opening tomorrow on this one.
For the loader.
Oh, no, sorry, for the loader. It's coming up soon, though.
Yeah.
Before the 14th. Sorry. And of course, we hope to have construction completed by spring 2025. So, and you've seen the designs. They were before you recently. We have a slight variance that we have to deal with. And so we'll get on that shortly, too. Of course, the fun one, organizational capacity and modernization. Town hall, office upgrades and expansion are the first part of that. And we have a construction design that was originally done, and we had a redesign done by Bell Architects, who had done the initial work on this a couple of years ago, I guess. And have been waiting for some more feedback from us. We provided them with some changes to that, and just as recently as about a month ago, we received construction drawings, and we're just waiting for the 80% drawings to come back to us now. And of course, as you know, we included this in this year's budget out of about $550,000. So hopefully we're on track to get it on tender sometime in the next couple months and start the work sometime this summer. Also, building a new fire station was one of the key pieces under this category. We did obtain a quote for design work. We haven't acted upon that yet. The tender will be the next piece. I think we were sort of waiting for the master fire plan to come in as well, to sort of give us some more guidance. Land acquisition, we've had initial conversations with the airport about a piece of land right beside our public works facility, as you are aware, and we've held off a little bit to move that forward, but we will get on it soon. Again, the master fire plan will play a part in this, and I think we're still shooting for July, I believe is the delivery date on that. So it's coming up quick. And of course, as soon as we get that, I think we'll start working on the design process. So a lot's riding on that fire master plan and giving us guidance of how we're going to operate as a fire department going forward. Next one, update corporate policies and procedures. We have hired a human resources coordinator, and she is wonderful. Jody Gervais has taken over the role under Collins Department at Legislative Services and has run with it. The mayor was speaking this morning at Garrison Council, not to steal the thunder from his councilor or mayor and council report, but you know, we've been filling those gaps in the corporation and addressing those needs. She's also went straight to work, hit the ground running on our human resources policies. And we have some pieces that will be coming forward to you soon in regards to how we operate as a corporation. and changes to some of our larger policies around overtime and such. So expect to see that soon. We are going over our procedures bylaw, and Colin and I have some edits for you. We've set up, we're in the process of hopefully nailing down a policy session with all of you before the end of the month to have some good discussions around that. So I'm really pleased with the progress we're making on this. There's still a lot to review. There is a mound of policies that we're carrying as a corporation that probably haven't been looked at for quite some time, but we're picking them off as we go. So I'm pleased with the progress we're making there. Organizational review. Some of this has been really just understanding, and some of this year we had discussions through the budget process on where the gaps are in the corporation, especially on the human resources level, where people were being asked to do more than they would normally be asked to do. Finding that work-life balance for our employees, and I think we're having some success there. Plus, we're getting other stuff done that we would be strained to get done. So as I've mentioned, we've hired some positions. We've changed some focuses for certain divisions and certain departments to pick up some areas such as civic properties is a good example, where our facility operators are taking care of all of our buildings now rather than just the complex and the parks. And we've added some capacity there to help with that. Christine did introduce you to the 5-year financial planning process to some degree in the 2024 budgeting process, and we'll be getting into that deeper in September. We're formulating or getting ready to launch into that new process, so that we're planning 5 years out financially rather than doing it year by year. So you saw some of that, as I said, through the financial planning process this year. And we should hopefully have all that ready to go when we get to the end of the year, or before then, I would like. Technology strategy, we have hired an information technology coordinator. So we have an IT coordinator on staff now. He is already busy at work scoping our technological needs. We have many, but the overall goal, of course, is ensuring that we put the right pieces in place to modernize the corporation and our functions, and try and create some extra capacity there and efficiencies. So I know Christine, she's away right now, but I know one of her greatest desires is a new accounting software. That's something that's a little bit more modern, that integrates with some of the other pieces that we're looking at as well. And that's everything from GIS to permit software to accounting that we're looking at completely. One of the other things that we will be bringing forward to you shortly is we were piecemealing cell phone service for staff, where there are all these individual contracts. Christine has done a good job of negotiating some deals with the larger players on getting us a corporate account. So we're saving some money and bundling things, and rather than we've got multiple cell phone contracts for individuals that work for us. So that'll be coming forward to you at a meeting actually sometime soon, I think, when she gets back. And again, we're going to be working on that technology strategy. One thing that's not mentioned in here that I will mention is that we're hoping to have the RFP for a brand new website ready to go in about a month from now. So with the IT coordinator on staff, I've asked for further review of what was originally put together, and better definition of what we're looking for. Sorry. And of course, I've already mentioned this 5-year financial planning process. We'll be reintroduce that through the 2024, and we'll be moving on that. So next category, economic development and tourism, so our economic and tourism growth. Reviewing the current plan that we have in place for active transportation. That's underway, and there's three bodies that are involved in that: economic development, public works, and community services. So, and as that, as I mentioned, it's a preliminary work on that is already away. Also, enhancements to the Algonquin Trail corridor, and that includes some concepts that were developed originally on redeveloping around the comfort station at Kittyland Park. So we tried to integrate some of that work with the community services master plan that's being done. So think is to take a look at some of that work for us and generate and expand upon the concepts I think that have been developed. So we have something more solid to work on going forward. So we're looking forward to that. Just a reminder that community services master plan is due to be delivered in fall, but we should have a draft this summer. We're hoping to look at. And then complete the multi-user pathway phase 3 on Laurentian Drive, which I believe is in the works. Chris?
Yeah, on it.
On it. Okay. Sorry, it should have been put on there. Chris is on it. I will note that we jointly update this document. All department heads have access to this document in our cloud, and then we update the pieces that we're responsible for. So many thanks to them for keeping their stuff up to date here. Next, in the economic and tourism growth, increased supports and incentives to foster business growth. Revisit the community improvement plan, and that's being reviewed. Undertake a business retention expansion program. Christine Mitchell applied for funding for this particular program, and we're expecting later this year, if everything's successful, to get it underway with interviews with businesses starting in the first quarter of 2025. And of course, complete a community impressions program, and she's spoken to you about this already at the last committee meeting. We're paired with North Grenville. I must admit, I've never been there, but I guess I'll have to take a jog down there when I get a chance and see the comparison. But we're expecting exchange in June of 2024. Also under economic tourism and growth, number 3, formulate a strategy to develop a downtown commercial core. As you know, the official plan was approved on April 15th, 2024. And of course, there's still pieces that we need to address on that one, and we'll start getting to that in the summer. Formulate a waterfront development strategy. Again, this goes back to what we're going to see in that community services master plan that's due in September. So in October, we'll be able to address that particular piece. Community well-being and connectedness is the other pillar in the strategic plan. The completion of the master recreation plan, or the community services master plan, as you know. As I just mentioned, Think Design has been working on that, consulting with many stakeholders, and we're hoping to have a draft document to look at early summer, with completion, a final document to bring to you in September. Empower user and volunteer groups to reinvigorate community pride. Community services have been on this particular one. They were successful in obtaining grants to offer 2 sessions facilitated by Volunteer Canada. And they included risk management for volunteers and strategic volunteer engagement. And that was delivered this month. And of course, Community Futures also hosted or will host a session on ONCA compliance. So which is I know is a concern for a lot of nonprofits right now because there's been some changes. So they're going to do a session on workshopping your bylaws for local nonprofits. So that's good to see moving forward, building some capacity in that sector, because those are our volunteers and our champions in the community, do a lot of great work. Also under this category, enhanced community gathering spaces. One piece that was done, we awarded the soccer lighting contract last month. I'm thinking April, yeah. But a lot of this will be reliant upon that community services master plan when it comes in, giving us an idea of where we should be focusing. Youth center, there's nothing reported here, but I do know that we've had discussions about how we bring this forward. We know there's a need, and really it's a matter of location and funding. So although it is blank, there have been discussions internally about moving that or bringing that to reality. Finally, housing diversity. So you're already aware that our application to the Housing Accelerator Fund was unsuccessful, at least the first round. There's been indication that there will be a second round in the future, and we will be preparing ourselves for that. We've had some debrief with CMHC on our application, and we'll make some adjustments to try and be successful the next time around. I think, as you're aware, there weren't many successful communities in Renfrew County. If there were any, I don't think we're aware of any in Renfrew County that were successful in securing funding. So we're going to take another shot at it. Some of these pieces you're already aware of. The housing needs assessment was completed and helped guide that housing action plan that we put forward in Housing Accelerator Fund application. The new official plan is completed. Updates to the zoning bylaw. There has been review of that, and work will continue with the hiring of a new director of planning and development. I guess I can say it now. It's official. We have found a replacement for Karen. She here? There she is. Right over my shoulder is Melanie Shear. As of June 3rd, she'll be stepping into the role. So please congratulate Melanie on being the successful candidate for this job. And boy, are we going to put her to work. She's been doing a great job already for us as senior planner. So it was a natural fit. And of course, as always, focusing on densification, addressing gaps, and work will always be ongoing in this area as we look at development in our community. Any community wants to make the best uses of its space, right? And finding housing and creating housing for those that want to live in our community. So that is your first quarter update on your strategic plan so far. I'll just stop sharing here. Are there any questions?
Question from member, Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you, Mayor Service. Not so much a question as a comment. I think it's a great report. Nice to see that it's tied to the strategic plan. We used to have reports like this many years ago from the CEO, but this one is far more purposeful in that it's tied to the strategic plan. So I really like it.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'd just like to say that as a council, we've only been here maybe a year and a half. And Scott hasn't been here a full year yet. And I think when we sit here and we watch this report, I know I'm a little bit amazed at all of what we have accomplished as a group here. And I think we should all be proud, and congratulations to our CAO and his leadership team and everybody that works under all those leaders as well. When you look at that list, it's an exhaustive list, if you know what I mean. It took a lot of work from a lot of people, and I don't think we could have got there if we didn't start that capacity building. And we're seeing the rewards of that now with, as you said, our new HR coordinator. She has assumed a lot of the roles that was, once performed by our CAO and our clerk. Now that she's on the ground and doing her work, it has freed up our CAO and the clerk to stop treading water and just getting through the day-by-day grind. And now they're able to get more done and innovate. And we've seen it in all of our other departments as well. Anywhere that we've put some capacity building, For example, our IT coordinator. Somebody else had to perform a lot of those roles before. And I was here today and Haranush came and helped me hook my laptop up to a printer and made me some email groupings, and I would have had to bother somebody else before and taken them away from their work. I'm sure they used to say bad things about me because I always needed IT help, and now I don't have to go to them. I can go to our IT coordinator. So what it's doing is it's allowing the rest of our staff to do their job. And it's great to see. And it's only been, a short time that this has been going on. So I expect to see even more gains in the future as our staff gets more help and they're able to innovate and be more creative. I think we're going to see a lot more of this. I'm amazed that we've been able to check off as much as we have in such a short period of time. There's lots of building going on presently and this summer and this fall. And it's exciting to see. And all of these master plans that are coming out this summer and this fall, it'll be interesting to see what they suggest and in terms of what they provide us as a guideline going forward for the future. So it's great to see. Thanks for the report. I'm feeling pretty good right now, and I'm sure everybody else is too. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, so we'll receive that as information. Thank you, Scott, for that. Next, we'll go to councilor reports. Deputy Mayor Sabrin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to report that I attended my first Police Services Detachment Board meeting under the new model on the 16th of April. It's a very engaged group, and we've got some great leadership from the OPP there as well. So we'll continue to provide that link to the community through that board. On the 17th of April, I attended the Silver Threads for a briefing by yourself and our CAO with respect to the town and workings, and so that was I think very well delivered. On the 21st of April, I attended Elton Ron, and I have to say, Councillor Murray Roots, the sound was fantastic. So, and the performance was excellent. On the 24th of April, I participated in an equity, diversity, and inclusion meeting. On the 26th and 27th of April, I attended the town booth as part of Showcase. Very, very busy, and a lot of vendors and a real just general good feeling out there. What I would like to do though also is acknowledge that Ruth Murdoch was named a local legend through My FM on April the 5th, and for 20 years of service at the library. So that was neat to see, and so I just like to bring that forward. We don't often see those types of local legends, so well done to Ruth. And just this past week, I attended the Ontario Small Urban Municipality Conference, and I'm going to do a little encapsulation and send out an email to you as colleagues to just give you an update. But I did place on your desk a moose hide campaign piece of paper, and I'm wearing the moose hide right now. And the Moose Hide campaign is an Indigenous-led grassroots movement of men and boys and all Canadians who are standing up against violence towards women and children. And by wearing this moose hide, it signifies the commitment to honor, respect, and protect women and children in their lives and in our lives, and to work together to end violence against women and children and all those along the gender continuum. Moose Hide Campaign Day is on the 16th of May, and we do have a local individual here in the town of Petawawa who is part of this and who is an advocate for this. And so it was the first time I'd heard about it at this conference, but I share that with you. If you could wear that and as part of this campaign, I would appreciate it. And I think finally, I am done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Sabrin. Just a question about the Moose Hide campaign. Is it for the month of May? Just in terms of when do we wear it to show our support?
Well, you can wear it all throughout the year. It's a 365 campaign, and but the actual day of celebration is in May.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Kerman.
Thank you, Mayor Service. So on April 16th, I chaired a Police Services Board meeting. That was our first meeting of our new detachment board. And on the weekend of the 27th, 28th, I attended or worked at the booth for the Police Services Board in the town of Petawawa at the annual home show. So that was very well attended. And that's it for now.
Thank you. Councillor Coutu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To say I attended the same EDI meeting as the Deputy Mayor did on the 24th. On the 24th at first, I was also at Elton Ron, and the sound from the balcony was amazing. I can also report I was at the opening event for the container market, the kickoff event on May 4th, which was super excellent. I had this excellent henna done to my hands, and it was great to see all our vendors there. It's a really great showing this year. And the next day I attended the Red Dress Day walk that was put on by the Petawawa Youth Haven Center. So it was organized by the youth, and they went up and down the MUP and raised the flag, No More Stolen Sisters. So similar to this campaign, it's a day of action against murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls. And we're hoping they moved this event to Petawawa. It was in Pembroke last year, but it will now be taking event in Petawawa. So there's real hope that by next year we'll have a real showing out for the walk. And I think that's all I have to say. Thank you. And I was also at the Petawawa Showcase on the Saturday and Sunday. It was a good time at the town table.
Thank you. Councillor Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On April 21st to 23rd, I attended the Good Roads Conference. I attended many seminars, top ones including the Emerging Municipal Leaders, Rural Road Safety and Maintenance on Low-Use Rural Roads. There was a large group of post-secondary students there looking for future work. So I definitely did a good job, I think, of selling Petawawa to a lot that had wanted to leave the urban setting. On April 27th, I staffed the town booth at Showcase. Great turnout. It's been a great turnout every time I've been there, and looking forward to next year. And on a side note, to all my fellow Leafs fans, as it seems to be said every year, next year will be our year.
Can somebody get Councillor Driscoll a box of Kleenex? Councillor Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the 11th of April, I attended the Petawawa Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting. Just to note from that, we do have our flag raising ceremony on the 26th of May. Just keep that on your agendas, which is a Sunday starting at 11 a.m. On the 17th of April, I attended the Silver Threads information session as well. Very well done. On the 27th of April, I was at Showcase for a couple of shifts. It was a lot of fun, lots of people with lots of really great questions. So it was good to be able to have that opportunity to chat. And from the 1st to the 3rd of May, I also attended the Ontario Small Urban Municipalities Conference. And it was very interesting. I do not know any trivia to do with Star Wars. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thursday, April 18th, I attended an in-person airport meeting. Topics of this meeting were financial review and payment, operations from the facility team, marketing update from Jennifer Lehman. It's early in the year, but the airport is starting to ramp up. The M&R in the month of May will use the airport, which just happened here, and I was able to attend on Wednesday, May 1st. They were doing a fish restocking. And I did send some pictures out to some staff members and the council. It was the Ontario Fish Culture Program from North Bay. And there was multiple trucks, and each of these trucks have 5,000 fish per truck. And they distribute them onto an M&R helicopter, which then fly at low levels onto local selected lakes and lower the fish into the water. So it was very good to see, and it was actually good to see this restocking going on locally here. Also, we did have an update from the Airborne Petawawa. They hope to be up and running in late May. Sunday, April 21st, we hosted, which a lot of council members were there. Thank you, the Elton John tribute. We did celebrate our fundraising campaign, which we're purchasing of new audio and video equipment. It was a great success. We did reach all of our targets, and everything did come in on budget. which is very, very important for us. So we're very happy with the success of that. Thursday, April 25th, I attended an Ottawa Valley Waste Recovery Board meeting. Topics of this session was quarterly tonnage report of product coming into our facility, financial reports, corporate policy update procedure changes, tender business, press release discussions for the spring collection schedules, which are for Petawawa leaf pickup of the week of May 8th and 10th, also May 24th, 22nd, 24th, and large item special pickup on May 29th to the 31st. April 26th, I attended and participated in the showcase. It was a great crowd, and I wish all mothers this coming Sunday a very happy Mother's Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roots. I apologize in advance. It's been a while since we had a meeting, so there's been a few things going on. Okay, so on April 17th, there was a Silver Threads coffee house or town hall that many of us attended together to provide the membership of Silver Threads with some information in terms of the possible transition of that entity to the town of Petawawa. I too was at the Elton Ron concert, hopping and bopping to the Crocodile Rock. It was a really good show, and yeah, the new sound system's fantastic. On Wednesday, there was a county council meeting, and at that meeting, we had a presentation from Council of Canadians on climate action, encouraging municipalities to do more in terms of reducing their carbon footprint. And I had a chance to mention to the group that was there assembled what Petawawa has been doing in terms of reducing our carbon footprint. And they were impressed with all of the strides that our municipality is making. EORN, the Eastern Ontario Regional Network, made a presentation about increasing the cell phone service in Renfrew County. They talked about all the towers that are planned and to be under construction to increase cell phone service, not just near the urban centers, but across the entire county of Renfrew. So there was an interesting map there that showed where all the new towers are going to go and how that will increase capacity for cell phones. So that when you're driving around the county, you don't get dropped. That's the goal. There was an unfortunate announcement about the National Housing Strategy funding reduction. The federal government is unhappy with the provincial government in terms of them meeting goals with affordable housing. So there's talks right now of cuts of up to 355 million to the province of Ontario, unless the strategy is enhanced, let's say. What that means for us here in Renfrew County is, I can't give you an exact number, but up to maybe $2 million and a cut just here in Renfrew County, which would affect almost 1.5 million of repairs on social housing here in Renfrew County, and also perhaps a cut to rent subsidies to quite a few families, over 100 families. So there was a very frank and a frank discussion, let's say, at County Council about how we can't let that happen. So there's a letter being written to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing to, I'm not going to say demand, but to request that that funding not be cut off because it's much needed here in Renfrew County. And that if those repairs aren't made on the social housing, those are houses, some of them that are empty. And if they're not repaired, they would not be available for people who need them. And to cut over 100 families off rent subsidies, what would that mean for them? Does it mean that they would now be out on the street? So in our discussion, we talked about finding that funding somewhere at the county level to make those repairs, to keep those rent subsidies in place. And when the provincial and federal government have ironed out whether these cuts are going to happen or not, then we'll look for that funding to be repaid. That on our conscience would not allow us to have people put out on the street. So find that funding from somewhere, get the work done, get those rent subsidies in place, and have those higher levels of government be accountable for the funding that we spend. Some news on the trails. So as we know, the Algonquin Trail is a county-controlled trail. There's talk about the K&P Trail in Calabogie that runs from Calabogie to the Lanark County border. The county acquiring that section of trail. The problem that creates is it has different bylaws. The K&P Trail and the Algonquin Trail have some different rules and regulations, and one of them involves dirt bikes. So on that section of the trail, dirt bikes are allowed, and presently on the Algonquin Trail, they are not allowed. So if those two bylaws were to be put together, they're looking at perhaps allowing dirt bikes on the Algonquin Trail as well. So a lot of concerns were raised, and one of them is that will be addressed is that any motorcycle, be it a dirt bike or any other kind of motorcycle, will have to be licensed and will have to have insurance, and the driver will have to be licensed as well. To help calm some of the concerns, the county passed a bylaw to hire Protect 5 as an enforcement agency on the Algonquin Trail, 8-hour days, and right now the funding will provide 27 different days of enforcement on the trail for up to 8 hours on each of those days. Presently, they're going to do most of that enforcement in the urban areas where the trail goes through the urban areas. So Petawawa, Renfrew, Arnprior, Pembroke, Laurentian Valley will be the primary focus. We also talked about, and it will be done, they're going to purchase some radar guns to give to the Protect enforcement people. So that doesn't mean the OPP will not enforce it anymore. They'll still enforce when they can, but we'll have additional enforcement from Protect 5, and they will have radar guns so that they can stop people for speeding. Pembroke announced a 4% MAT tax. They passed it, it's implemented. So it's here and it's in Pembroke. I know that we have discussed implementing one here in Pembroke and that we're going to have a presentation soon on that. The county is discussing putting together a CIP of their own for affordable housing. A request was made by Arnprior to support their CIP program. And the present rules in Ontario don't allow the upper tier to support a lower tier unless they have a CIP in place. So the county is now looking at putting their own CIP in place just for affordable housing, so that if requests come forward from lower tier municipalities, the county could perhaps, if council supports it, assist with a CIP in a lower tier municipality. There was a big presentation about communal services. So for towns that already have a wastewater system and a water system, this is a type of service that can be used in a more rural area. It's not portable, but it can be placed on concrete pads in a subdivision out in a rural area. It's already being done down by Kingston area. But to do this, you need a municipal services corporation, and the lower tier municipalities can't do that. It's time intensive, it costs money. So the county is looking at putting one together for the reason of looking at these communal services. And then they can support all the municipalities should they wish to do something like that. So that's in talks right now. There was just a presentation about it. We'll see where it goes. There was a large contingent there to question what was going on with OP Amendment 44. As we know, there's not a lot of newspapers anymore, print newspapers in Renfrew County. And that's one of the main methods for the county and for municipalities to notify residents of things that are going on. So they passed an amendment that says you can continue to use print media, but then there was a list of 12 other methods that you can use to notify the residents of Renfrew County. And the large contingent was there to make sure that registered mail was one of the, because not everybody has access to the internet. Another interesting thing that came forward was McNabb Braeside asked for a County Road 3 in their area to have a speed reduction from 80 to 60. And I know we've had conversations about some of our county roads in terms of speeds and maybe a possible reduction. It was denied. So McNabb Braeside put forth a request. The county said the road didn't warrant it. And when it was voted on, it was denied. So I made a plea, I guess we can say it was a plea, that please give the municipalities a bit of leeway and a bit of faith when we come to you talking about us reducing speeds on your roads. We come from a position of experience and knowledge. It's a road in our community and we know what's going on. And don't just think of the statistics and the policies that are in place that say it doesn't warrant it. Sometimes you have to be on the ground and see what's happening to decide whether you're going to reduce the speed or not. In the good news department, 5 big public works projects, roads and bridges and culverts, all 5 of them came in under budget and quite a bit under budget. Some of them were $200,000, $300,000 under budget. The main reason that was indicated was asphalt prices are lower this year. So that's good news. We have quite a few projects still that haven't gone to tender. So let's be hopeful that some of ours come in. Director of Public Works has his fingers crossed back there. They purchased 7 pickups, and I know we discussed the fact that the county and some of the municipalities have gotten together to buy all of the same color white, and they did in fact buy 7 white pickups at the county. So the transition from different colors may be beginning, not only at the county, but in some of the municipalities that have had looked at joining the county and purchasing in bulk in white color. On Thursday of that week, the CAO and I had a meeting at the Pembroke Regional Hospital with the CAO, Sabine Mersman, and our CAO of our Petawawa Centennial Family Health Center, Judy Hill, to discuss a partnership with the Pembroke Regional Hospital and our Petawawa Centennial Family Health Center in terms of a partnership and how we can work together to provide some enhanced health services here in the town of Petawawa, things that we don't already have and things that our residents have to drive to Deep River and Pembroke for. So stay tuned for some news on that. We may be working on some solutions in terms of having some kind of walk-in clinic or some other avenue for the residents of our town. If you have something that's minor in nature and don't have a family doctor, perhaps we have a solution for you here. I attended Showcase as well, and again, it's always much anticipated event here in the town of Petawawa. We had a follow-up meeting with Silver Threads and the Petawawa Housing Corporation that is the owner of the building, the Silver Threads building. And again, that's just more meetings in terms of the possible transition of that building and the seniors facility to the town of Petawawa. I attended the container market grand opening, and again, it was the vendors, everything was full. There was a food truck there, and I spoke with all the vendors, and they're really very happy to always be here in Petawawa. They're making sales and meeting new customers. One of the salespeople came all the way from Mackay to sell her homemade salsa. So that's quite a drive for that individual to come all the way here to Petawawa. And the individual that did the, what do you call it, henna tattoo, recently moved here from the country of Dubai 9 months ago. So it was interesting to talk to her and her impression of Petawawa and her family's impression, and they just love it here. The kids played in snow for the first time in their life, and they're very happy to be in Petawawa and have this be their new home. So it was great to see that. Yesterday, I went on to the garrison. There was the memorial service for the 7 fallen soldiers from 1968 in the parachute accident. They have, just the last couple of years, they moved the monument onto the garrison proper so that it's more accessible to everybody. And they unveiled also that day, yesterday, a new monument to the Cyprus peacekeeping. It's right under the wing of the airplane at the base museum. And it's to commemorate the 28 casualties that Canada had during the peacekeeping in the 1974 war in Cyprus. And this morning, the CAO and I went to Garrison Council to give the leadership team there. It's quite a large leadership team. There's about 60 of them there. Just an update on what's going on in the town of Petawawa. And they're always happy to find out what we're doing and how our community supports them. We presented the base commander and the commander of 2 CMBG with a plaque, just thanking them for their ongoing support and friendship over the last year and a half that we've been in council, and they were much appreciative. There was a lot of information passed down. I guess the biggest thing I can tell you is that deployments are coming, and they're going to be bigger than ever. There's a lot of pressures being placed on the military right now. And for the next 5 or 6 years, it's all going to be in Latvia. And some other new things, some of the deployments are going to be up to a year long, which is new for a lot of people. And it'll start next year. So this January, they're going to start training. And there's going to be 950 reservists coming to the town of Petawawa from January to July. So our population is going up by 1,000 people for 6 months. One of the concerns of the garrison commander is where are we going to put everybody, these 900 reservists when they're here training. So I think our business community is going to notice a difference with those extra 1,000. But then next July, there's going to be between 1,300 and 1,500 people gone from our community. So we'll notice that as well. And I'll just let you know that tomorrow the CAO and I have a meeting with 2 individuals from the Canadian Liberators Foundation. And this came out of, I went up to the RCD Leeuwarden Parade. It's a small town in Holland that was liberated by the RCDs in the Second World War. And they've kept up a relationship ever since. Somebody from Holland comes here to the base for the Leeuwarden Parade. And they bring some veterans from Canada over to Leeuwarden. So at that parade, we had a conversation with the military attaché from the Dutch embassy. And I just mentioned offhand, have we ever thought about twinning Petawawa and the town of Leeuwarden in Holland? And they got a message back to the mayor there, and he's into it. And so tomorrow we're meeting with these 2 individuals from the Canadian Liberators Foundation. Their job is to ensure that veterans from units that liberated towns in this province, I think it's Friesland, always stay connected. So they always try and find veterans and their families to come over to Holland for these liberation ceremonies. So we'll see what comes out of our meeting tomorrow, and maybe we'll become a twin city with the town of Leeuwarden in Holland. And the mayor is coming here next year, May of 2025. So we'll welcome him as our guest here in Petawawa in 2025. And that is it. I apologize. But there's lots going on. Okay. I need a motion for confirming bylaw. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Roots, that bylaw 1655/24 be read a first, second, third time and passed. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1655-24, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on May 6, 2024. This constitutes first, second, and third reading short of bylaw 1655-24, the 6th day of May 2024.
And I guess just before we adjourn, I'll say to all the thousands of people watching at home, stay classy, Petawawa. I think I have to come up with a better catchline. I think somebody else uses it. I need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that the meeting adjourn to the call of the mayor. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.